My name is Ariana, and I am limitless. My name is Ariana Jordan, and I am from the south side of Chicago, Illinois, and I am 28 years old. Coming from a family of five, I have two brothers and two sisters, and I think that having this family support or having people around me in one household, including my mother, so that's six, has brought me a lot of looking or learning from them. Being the second youngest, one of the second youngest, I got to observe. I really got to observe my older sisters and even my little brother, and kind of think about how life was shaping them, and then really learn from that. Coming from this large intimate household allowed for me to see what I wanted for myself based upon like what was being presented to us. As my family grew, I wanted more for myself because I started to have nieces and I started to have nephews, and I think like for me, I wanted to just show them that we can take on the world if we want to. And I think even learning from my mom and learning how hardworking she was and how dedicated she was to make our dreams come true, just by kind of supporting us and not confining us to what we had to do, and kind of letting us navigate this world, in a way that was more set on us being independent. I think that brought me a lot of like community support, because then I was able to kind of go out in the world and say, oh, I need this, oh, I need that, oh, I need this. I think one of the things about being from the South Side though is this lack of positive support. I think that there's a lot of policing happening rather than putting positive reinforcement into our communities. And I think for me, what really encouraged me to seek that out was, although I was like a child that misbehaved, I knew that I had needs to be met. And so I think for me, it was really kind of always constantly asking myself, what do you need, Ariana? How can you get that? If that person doesn't know the answer, can you ask them to point you to the right direction? And I just constantly did that. I think that being from the South Side of Chicago has impacted my life, because it made me want to create opportunities for myself and for people that came from places like the South Side. You get this type of hunger for more, and I think that being from the South Side kind of encourages you to seek more, to want more for yourself. But I think a part of that experience is figuring out where to get these resources or where to get the help. And I think that was probably one of my biggest assets, was that when I needed the help or when I needed or had questions, I sought out the right people. And I think those people did a great job in encouraging me to the right path. I was raised in the Chicago public school system, and I think that brought a lot of perspective out of me because of how I came from this very selective program called International Baccalaureate, or also known as IB. And I think being a part of a gifted program, and I think at the time, in regards to the school that I went to, which was Hyde Park Academy, I think I graduated with 300 other students, and there were only 15 a part of this program. It gave us the opportunity to have access to resources that other students did not. In terms of how my education had challenged me, was Grand Valley State University as well as DePaul were both predominantly white institutions. And so I think finding my way in these university settings was very interesting, especially I went into college thinking like, oh, I'm smart, oh, I was a part of the IB program, but it was like, no, honey. I didn't know how to study. I wasn't college ready as much as I thought I was. And so it honestly took me failing a class to then learning like, oh, I actually need help. I actually need tutors. I actually need support to kind of be this A student that I set out to be. And even getting an A was very challenging because a lot of those professors were white. So they are or have not understood your education level because their education level was different. So I do think that that's when a bunch of students of color, predominantly black students, sought out other resources at Grand Valley State University to kind of support them. And I do think that there was also a lot of programs strategically for black students. But to be honest, it was almost like a rarity to come across black people or black staff at Grand Valley State University. And it wasn't until I became more social, that's when I realized like there's a community here of people that I can lean on. However, in that same breath, being in a university setting has so many positive experiences on my social life that I think that it heightened my value for education. I think being from the South Side and going into a predominantly white institution or just a university setting, it definitely taught me these very social, emotional skills that I did not have previously because I was able to then see or interact with other students who weren't from the South Side. And I think that that was one of the most invaluable experiences ever because even being at Grand Valley, I saw my enthusiasm for education. I actually really did love learning. I became obsessed with the library. I was taken back by all of the resources that this institution had and was really amazed that I had never had access to those things. And so I was like literally the student in the library, and that was my place. And I just fell in love with the fact that there were black people going in and out of these spaces to, be their best self. And I think like that was what made me really invested in fostering other communities of women and encouraging them to continue their education and encouraging them to utilize the resources that were on campus. I feel like I've always had support. I think even being one of those kids that fought a lot and just got in trouble a lot, I had, teachers pull me to the side or make me stay back and just tell me that they were rooting for me. I think back then I would have like rolled my eyes, but looking back today, I'm so thankful for them because they saw something in me that I didn't. And I think like I can remember the time where I, just wanted women friends and I didn't know what that looked like because when I was younger, I wasn't the girliest girl. I was actually pretty much a tomboy. I liked sports. I actually liked hanging around dudes and guys because they talked about meaningful things in terms of, sports and action and moving your body. And I didn't want to be confined to my gender, and I didn't want to do what people label as girl activities. I wanted to go for sports, and so I kind of drew towards a community of guys, but I always wanted that community of women. And I think I started to seek that out. And I remember like making one of my first women friends, and she was very impressionable on me in a way that I just saw her exude confidence even at a young age, and I wanted that so bad. And so for me, I was just like, Ariana, if that's what you want, you can do that by asking women what they need, learning how to be a friend. Sometimes it is hard to find community. I think one of the things about colleges is it kind of forces you to find communities, and it's not like you boxing yourself in, but you then do have a set of people that you can go to. You start seeing the same people every day. So I do think like if you have trouble with extracting yourself out of what you're used to, there could be some issues in that. But I think that's why it's important for people to go back into their communities and show them what's out there, because I think like that gives somebody the opportunity, or child the opportunity, to explore, to investigate themselves, to ask themselves what they want. And I think like one of the conversations I have with women every day, or not every day, but often, is that like they are wanting community so bad, or like they just want friends, and they want like legit loyal friends. And I think that a lot of times friendships, or learning how to gather and keep your community, is about constantly reinventing and learning yourself, and taking criticism, and being okay with adapting. And I think that those are also skills that you have to learn. But I'm hoping that even with Limitless, we build those communities together, because I see that there's a need for it. Women support in my life is so outstanding. All of my women friends, it definitely took us trial and error to get here. I think, as women, we hold so many roles, whether it's mom, whether it's sister, whether it's in our profession, whether it's a student, that, I feel a way when people try to box us into like these very small stereotypes of what women are supposed to be, when we're just everything. So my community of women, that's what they are. They are everything. They are my everything, because they teach me every day how to be who I want to be. And I get to learn from them and adapt to my own standards of what I want out of myself as a woman. And I think for me, my hope is that, as I make more women friends, that we are and we continue to be our unique selves, because I think that's what makes my community so great. We're all so different, yet I'm oftentimes in a room full of women who are so honest. And I love that, because like, why not have that honesty? One of my biggest obstacles, I would say, in life was having cancer. I've just hit my 5-year survivorship mark as of May 11th. I was diagnosed with embryo rhabdomyosarcoma, which is a very rare form of cancer typically found in children, May 11, 2018. It brought a lot of challenges in my life as far as my identity, my health, school, and just a overall decision making. I thought that after I completed cancer, or my cancer journey, that was it. I thought it was it. So I underwent chemo for a total of like 9 months. And I think the biggest struggle in that was really telling everybody that I had cancer. And I think at the time I called it Big C. And I gave it this large label because it felt large in my life. It defeated me. And the way that I always describe it to people is like, I felt like I didn't see color. I didn't know what was happening in my world. I just knew that my world was upside down. And at the time, I had also started my MFA program at DePaul University. And a lot of people around me kept saying, just take a break from school, or take care of your health. Or it was just these very sad and mundane things. And it made people look at me as less than a human, and I didn't like that. And so for me, I, to combat all of the obstacles, I went part-time, and I took comedy classes to try to find some type of humor, and I persevered through it. I persevered through it. And I think a part of me persevering through my cancer journey was my supporters, and then also me continuously doing things that I loved, which was taking pictures of flowers. It was also going to school. It was seeing how, people in my professional life rooted for me and didn't even know that I had this diagnosis. But one of the reasons why I kept it a secret for so long was because I didn't want people to see me as this small, weak thing. And I think that, looking back at that, having cancer brings you a lot of strength, although it does things to your body that makes you feel weak. So I think that having that as the obstacle was so challenging, because even a year after that, or once I made a year, I was still lost. I was so lost. I was the definition of lost. And it made me rediscover who I wanted to be. And yes, I went through hell. I went through hell. But I'm so glad that I'm here. I'm so thankful that I'm here. And I think that, looking at the brighter side of things was like my own dose of medicine. And yeah, I am at a peaceful place in my life, and I'm healthy, and I'm passionate, and I have this enthusiasm for life that feels good to have. Right now, I am in a stage of wanting to root for women and wanting to be in their corner and wanting to learn and teach younger girls how, or what it means to be yourself, and how confidence is really like the key to life. Sometimes cancer, or going through cancer, is still an obstacle. I think you still kind of deal with those withdrawals, right? But I think outside of cancer, some of my obstacles is really struggling with my confidence sometimes. I have to often remind myself to not compare my journey to anybody else's, because I'm here and what I'm doing is awesome, and I've had a lot of help, and I'm only 28 and I have so much life to live. And so I think that, I have like maybe some self obstacles that maybe came from what I've experienced during my cancer journey, and of course other parts of my life. But I think I take it day by day, and I think that's what you have to do. I think that having a limitless worldview is about confidence. It's about resourcefulness. It's about resilience. It's about overcoming what people told you you weren't capable of, and not letting others people fear be a part of your story. What makes me limitless is my authenticity. I think that, when I enter a room, or even when I'm talking to myself, I'm like, girl, you did that. You did that. And I think that me being my biggest cheerleader makes my worldview so limitless, because I feel so badass that nobody could tell me anything. What I would tell women that need encouragement is that it's okay. Get up, try again. And if you need to try again 300 million times, you are the creator of your life. Don't give up on yourself, and that your friends, your people are out there. There are literally people out here that want to love on you, and you have to be one of those people. You have to want to love yourself enough to go after your dreams. And I hope that Limitless will be able to touch you, and the stories that people share on the Limitless platform help you in some way where it uplifts you, and not in a way that you compare your life to them, but you get inspired by wanting to get up and try again. So good luck to you, and you are loved.